papi.
It's a little bit crazy. You're suddenly blurry now. I wonder if anything was real. All our history's hazy, like driving in the pouring rain. Driving in the pouring rain. Are we in too deep to heal? You tell me that you're sorry, we'll make up tomorrow. Tell me everything you know I wanna hear. I'm trying to be open, but that window is closing. And either way, I need to make it clear before we're leaving here. Before we're leaving here.
I know it ain't easy, but there's something left to hold on to. We can work it through, you don't have to go. There's a future here with me. We'll find the light in a clouded room. Not giving up until you know.
You tell me that you're sorry, we'll make up tomorrow. Tell me everything you know I wanna hear. I'm trying to be open, but that window is closing. And either way, I need to make it clear before we're leaving here. Either way, I need to make it clear before we're leaving here.
And shalom everyone, shalom. I want to welcome everyone to the house of the lost sheep of Israel. And today we're going to be going through, as normal, we're going to be going through the book of Proverbs. We're doing the etymology study on Proverbs. And I do also want to welcome over, got quite a few emails and different people coming over from the churches of Christ. So I want to also let some of them know, because some is still kind of timid to come in the back, and that's okay. But I still want to let you know, even in the front, we don't sit here and we don't do here. Just sit there and listen to the message. So I need you to do me a favor, as you'll be doing yourself a favor. As we going through this, I need you to get some paper, a pencil, Because over here, we're going to put in some work. And that's what we do here. We study to where in the last days that the Most High, we can be one of the ones that he's looking for. So here we need to learn of him to where we can know what need to be done. So I do welcome you guys here. I appreciate the emails that you guys sent, that you exposing those men over there. And our work is still need to be done there. But the same ones that's coming over, I appreciate that. I appreciate the support and the concern on what's happening. And I just want you guys just to continue to move forward. And as I said, you see how we run this, and everything is shown in the Bible. And that's why we have to show nothing but Bible. And that's why we're going through with Proverbs, and as well as we do Hebrews and everything else. Because today we making sure we picking up, and we got to look at Proverbs chapter 2, and we're going to pick it up at verse 11. Proverbs chapter 2 and verse 11. And we want to focus on a little bit more on what's happening here, because as we're going through, you're going to start seeing some things that you need to make sure that we focus on, even in this verse here. So in this verse here, it's telling us, it says, discretion shall preserve thee, understanding shall keep thee. These here we need to make sure we focus on. That one right there, I want to sit there. I know I have a highlighter on here, and I want to make sure I can highlight. I want to make sure I can highlight that, because I want to make sure we're focusing on that right there. And for some reason, it will not let me highlight, but I'm going to try it one more time. If not, we're just going to move forward with that. And we're going to see if that's going to do it. If not, we're just going to move forward on it. Because it showed, well, see, it still don't want to do it. It still don't want to quite do it. So the one we want to make sure we focusing on is discretion. Discretion is something we really need to understand as a whole together. Because the topic on a lot of this stuff going down from there is discretion. That's what it's focusing on, discretion. And discretion, as we're going to write down and know right what it means, is talking about wisdom and prudence, and also we can get understanding from that. So we need discretion, meaning wisdom shall preserve thee, understanding shall keep thee. So we need that discretion. That is needed. And this is why Proverbs, we get wisdom. With wisdom, we get understanding. And with the understanding, we can hate every false way when it comes to us. We're going to look at Deuteronomy chapter 4, and we're going to look at verse 6. And he says, with discretion, it says, keep for that reason and do them. Keep for that reason and do them, for this is your wisdom, discretion. I want you to make sure you focus in on that, because Proverbs is going to get real serious. And once we really get past chapter 3, he's going to be dead serious the whole time. So we want to make sure we focus in now. And it's telling you wisdom and your understanding in the sight of nations, which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is wise. This great nation uses discretion. This great nation uses wisdom in understanding this people. It's talking about what's going on. And the way you get this is what's going on here. Discretion is nothing more than wisdom. Is nothing more than wisdom. Wisdom, in fact, gives us a little bit more understanding, because wisdom, and I need you to actually write this one down, because we need to write a couple of these down, so as we go through the entire lesson today, and before we go into the back, we can have most of the information already kind of laid down for us. Because I want you to write this down, and this works from the front of the Bible to the back of the Bible. It's the same thing, because wisdom is skill, ability. Excuse me. Is skill and ability to know. That's what wisdom is. Nothing more, nothing less. And we getting fundamental understandings on what these are. So, saying this, our wisdom, having the ability, the skills and understanding what the Most High God teaches us, is what it's saying here. So let's look at this again. It says, therefore, endue them, for this is your ability in your understanding. This is your skill. This is your to know what's going on and to understand it in the sight of the nations, which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this nation is a wise and understanding people. We are not to add, we are not to take away from the word. We are not to add or take away from the word. As many men, as you've seen, they are taking entire books out of the Bible. You go to certain Bibles, they take entire verses out of the Bible. We shouldn't add, we shouldn't be trying to take away from. The Most High God taught us his statutes, his doctrines, his teachings, and we have to go, and we on this journey, and we trying to get to what was promised to our fathers. And if we're going to do that, we need to have discretion, which is nothing but wisdom, and with both of them, that will preserve us. Using our wisdom gives us the ability to understand the things that is simple or complex within the word. Using discretion also protects you. It maintains you. It keeps you safe from harm. Wisdom is also necessary for people to govern others with the qualities of God's wisdom. That's why this is so important. That's why we see when we get to discretion shall preserve thee. Many times we need this same discretion, this wisdom, to help us out. We need this. So this by no means is you take this as a game. We take this as just a good cliche, something that you just, oh yeah, this is nice. No. We have to stop that. We have to seriously look at this and understand what it's saying. Because the qualities of God's wisdom, in fact, we're going to look at Acts chapter 6, and we're going to pick it up in verse 3. Acts chapter 6 and verse 3, it says, wherefore, brethren, look ye out among you men of honest report. You think about that. An honest report. But he's going to say something that's really, really clear here. It says, full of the Holy Ghost and wisdom. That discretion still kicks in. It keeps kicking in. And it says, whom we may appoint over this business. Men govern over others. They're going to exhibit wisdom. They're going to exhibit wisdom. Even as Moses, when we get there, we're going to look at Deuteronomy chapter 34 and verse 9. It says, and Joshua, the son of Nun, was full of the spirit of wisdom. He was full of spirit of wisdom. For Moses has laid his hands upon him, and the children of Israel hearkened unto him, and he did as the Creator commanded him. as the Lord commanded Moses. So Joshua was full of the Spirit. He's full of discretion, full of wisdom. And the spirit that he had on it, he was appointed to take the children of Israel, take them over into Jordan. Even during that time, when the disciples, to just show you how to you need this discretion, you need this wisdom, you need this spirit. Because even when the disciples, you can see, even when you get into the New Testament, you'll see when they was preached of salvation, of the anointing, when you had many Grecians, they was murmuring against the Hebrews of the mistreatment of the widows because of their daily service unto the disciples. But it was discretion of some of the brethren, which has an honest report, and it was full of the Holy Ghost, and they appointed over that business of that section. So as we continue to move forward, that so they can continue to move forward in prayer and in ministry of the word. But discretion is what will preserve you. Discretion is the wisdom you need to maintain yourself. Discretion will keep you in order within your brethren, using it wisely. Discretion. These things helps us out, and we really don't understand really the importance of discretion. When you look at discretion, discretion also shows that you have the keen ability to listen. Let's look at that. In Proverbs chapter 1, verse 5, it says, a wise man will hear and will increase learning. See, a lot of times, a lot of us, as soon as we get in classes and do certain things, the first thing we want to do, we want to be the first one to speak every time. We want to speak on this. We want to speak on that. We want to show everybody that we have this knowledge, which puts us in a bad position. Because a lot of people are going to look at you in another way. But it's discretion. Discretion. A man will hear and increase learning. Not sitting there trying to say, let me tell everybody else what I know. let me let people know what I'm about. Let me tell people I do this and I do that, and I help these people, and people come to me and they ask me these questions, and I use my wisdom, my understanding to do these things. That's not wise. Discretion keeps you from doing that. In fact, it goes on more. It says, a man of understanding shall attain unto wise counsel. See, discretion is so powerful of a gift. It can help maintain you. It can help do many things. In fact, we go over here we'll look at here on 1 Corinthians. We're going to go to chapter 12. We're going to look at 12, and we're going to go to verse 8. And it says, for to one is given the spirit of wisdom, the spirit of the word of wisdom, the spirit of discretion. Because they can hear causes and they can make sound judgment on causes. They can hear things and say things to maintain order, to increase learning for everybody. That's what it'll do for us. That's what it'll do to help us out. See, the same as when you see in Proverbs chapter 1, verse 5, it says, and a man of understanding shall obtain. Attain means he's going to acquire. He's going to acquire something. And once he's acquired that, his efforts is to seek out wise counsel. And based on that, it tells you what in verse 8. One is given the spirit of the word of wisdom. One's effort is using discretion to preserve and keep from all this confusion that we can go through. This is something really, really straightforward. Discretion is so deeply needed and so deeply wanted. Most of us don't really know what we really want. In fact, when you get to verse 12, we're going to see even how this discretion shall preserve thee, to deliver thee. You see how it went down to verse 12? To deliver thee from the way of evil men, from the man that speaketh forward things. We need to understand that. We need to get a better understanding of that. So discretion or wisdom is given to us by God to teach us such things not to do. Actually, let's add a few more pieces here for us to help us out. We're going to look at Psalms chapter 1, verse 1 to help us out together. Because when we sit there and we're looking at this, Psalms 1, chapter 1, verse 1. See, blessed, this here. Everybody who have your Paleo Hebrew keyword dictionary, you already know this saying. This is wisdom is given, is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly. Why? Because discretion will deliver thee from the way of evil men. And he's not going to be walking in the counsel of the ungodly. Everything is working out the same. Don't change. It don't change. And it can keep you the way we need to go. It says, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. But it tells you, right over there, it's already tell us what we need to be doing. It would deliver us from forward things. And forward things to know scripturally what the King James Bible say. I don't know what the other ones, how they wanted to mean, but I know what the King James know what it wanted to mean. The reason why, because when you see it in Paleo Hebrew, they just translate very easily one back one way or the other. But when you go to these other ones, they say different things. But what it's telling you, forward things mean crooked and perverse. Not only in thoughts. So a man speaketh crooked and perverse things, forward things. But discretion can deliver you from that. It can deliver you from those darkness of those type of sayings that people want you to do. Because you want that candlestick to continually to burn in you. All based on discretion. All based on wisdom. All based on this wisdom is given. Is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly. Because that's going to put a difference between the man of discretion and the man that speaks forward. It's going to put a difference between the man that thinks with a level head against a man that thinks without a level head. See, a man who really like to speak forward, they love darkness. They like to make sure you can't see what they're doing. But a man who seeks discretion, he more loves light. He loves light. So we have two different types of people. We have one who speaks forward things. They like to do it in the dark. You have one who speaks discretion. He's going to use wisdom and understanding. He wants everything to be in the light. In fact, we look over here at John. John we'll go to John chapter 3 and pick it up at 19. And we're going to see a little bit more to add into it. In John chapter 3, verse 19, it says, including this is the condemnation that light is come into the world, including men love darkness rather than light because their deeds, their works were evil. We seeing how this working. Because condemnation right here, and it keep adding more things into it. It's keep adding more things into it that we just need to understand. But condemnation is telling us something that we need to really pay attention to. Condemnation. And that condemnation is a decision or act or deed. It's the punishment that comes from that. Condemnation. It comes from men practicing their forwardness in the world. Just this word condemnation. We're going to dig more into this word later. But the main thing is we need discretion. We need to be able to make sure as we going through this life, this journey of life that we're going through, we need to know how to practice discretion. We need to know how to practice that. And practice makes perfect. And we sitting there, and when you're practicing condemnation, you're going to get punishment. Why? Because it's behind the acts and the deeds. That light coming into the world, men love darkness. It's telling you right there. And men love darkness, something we were just talking about, rather than light, because their deeds were evil. Because the deeds are evil. The works are evil. So how many people we can sit there and think about? Even in most time, we love to always put in mind someone else and never look at ourselves. And it's easier to put yourself in that place than saying, I know such and such is just like this. I know such and such. No, stop doing that. Put yourself in that position. You know you better than you, but you're quick to sit there to look at somebody else and then judge them. It's not wise. That's not using discretion. That's not using wisdom. But condemnation is coming to the world. Why? Those decisions for those acts and deeds and coming to the world because what we do is we like to stay in darkness. Let me pose something to you. We're going to go over to Romans. We're going to look at chapter 5. And go down to verse 13. And I want to pose this. It says this. For condemnation. It says, for until the law sin was in the world. But sin is not imputed where there is no law. It sounds kind of complex, but it's simple to work out. So the only thing it's saying is, where there is no law, sin is not there. But if sin is imputed, according to the law, then sin is revived. So until then, sin reigned, but then the same as condemnation cannot be imputed unless there is a law. I want you to clearly get what we're saying. So condemnation cannot play and cannot come into play until the law is in place. And the law of flesh is already in place, and the law of the spirit is already in place. So condemnation is in play. Condemnation is in play. Discretion is a choice that we now have to make. So until the law, sin was in the world, but sin is not imputed where there is no law. Oh, it's making all the sense in the world. It's making all the sense in the world. So if we sit there, and the same as many of us want to sit there and do things that's in the dark because you don't want to have imputed on you sin. But sin is already imputed, and this is why we're doing it in the dark. Why? Because we already acknowledge sin is in the world. We already acknowledge condemnation is in the world. So we do the things in the dark thinking no one sees us. Think about that. So we can't say we don't know that there is no law, because we know it's a law. Tell you what, how young, many of you guys have children, little children, where you imputed a law to this 1-year-old child, this 9-month-old child, this 2-year-old child. You already imputed a law on, don't bother that, don't touch this. A law is already imputed on them. They know this. Because they received condemnation. They received some type of punishment for doing something they wasn't supposed to do. So they know condemnation is there. They know it's there. The child. They know it's there. So what the child will do, to show you just how much we lie to ourselves, this little child will do something that they wasn't supposed to do. The same thing you spanked them on the hand for or on their little butt. And they get ready to do it, and the first thing they do, they look around to see where you. They look around to see, are you watching? The reason they doing that, they already know, and it's already imputed that it's a law. If I do something, if I touch this thing that mommy or daddy told me not to touch at 1 year old, at 9 months old, at 2 years old, they already know the law. So it was already imputed that that was sin. So if they know, how we as adults act like we don't know? Discretion shall preserve you. Understanding shall keep you. And to deliver thee the way of evil men, from men speaketh forward things. This is what happens. So because men love darkness, because men love darkness, this is the problem. That our deeds are many things and nothing more than evil. Nothing more than evil. Because we love condemnation. We love condemnation and don't even know we love it. Let's look at something. Let's go down to verse 20 and see something. It says, for everyone that doeth evil hateth light. That's why the little child didn't want you to see him. That's why the 10-year-old child didn't want you to see what they was doing. This is why the teenager don't want you to do them. This is why the young adult don't want you to see them doing. This is why grown folks don't want you to see them doing something. Because we hated light to do evil. The weirdest thing is this. It backfired on him. I was in my early 20s. And one day I went to this place. It was this Mexican restaurant I frequent, in LA. And 20 years old, I go there. And they have this one plate that was really good, I liked. So I go there. And you park right in front, you get out, and you didn't have to walk 10 feet. You walk right up to the window. And this have enough parking for about 10 cars to park there, but you walk up and still order from the window. So I went up to the window to order. as soon as I finish ordering this, and normally sometimes you can go back to your car and wait, and they'll call you. You can go back to your car and wait, and they'll call you. But I'm not just staying out there. So I just stood out there. So these other guys walk up, and then they act like they was ordering, but then they pulled out a gun because it's night. Their deeds was evil. Their deeds were evil. So they wanted it to be dark to where they couldn't hardly see them. But their deeds was evil. So as the man was looking like he was getting ready to pull the money for him, he pulled out this big old .357 Magnum and pointed it right back at them. So either the guys were going to shoot or this man was going to shoot. Them dudes left their gun on that table on where this man was ordering. They left their gun there and they took off running. But they wanted to do their evil deeds at night. But what they seem to find out is they start valuing their lives, because now they're saying, okay, either he gonna shoot me or I'm gonna shoot him. But we do these evil things and we try to do them late at night. Same you see even the young women that sit there and they like certain men. What they'll do, they want to go by there at night. Late at night, these things happen. They tell you, for everyone that doeth evil hateth light, neither cometh to the light, lest his deeds should be reproved. Lest his deeds should be reproved. And reprove, well, let me see, I hate this thing won't highlight. But reproved, right there, what I got highlighted right there, reproved. Meaning a couple of things here, because it says, neither come light, least his deeds, least his work should be reproved, should be convicted, should be proven, should be guilty as being caught. However, still with wisdom and discretion, if it would have been in place, it would have helped you make the right decision. If you had wisdom and discretion, it would have helped you make the right decision. Think about that. It says, discretion shall preserve thee, understanding shall keep thee, to deliver thee from the way of evil man, and of the evil man, from the man that speaketh forward things. Think about that. And then it goes on more. It's going to keep you from this kind of stuff. And then it says in verse 13, who leave the path of uprightness to walk in the way of darkness. What? Yeah, this is what we do. Who do such things as this? Who will do such a thing like that? This is why I say, stop sitting there thinking about Pookie. Don't think about Pookie. Put your name there. Who will do such a thing? Get your mind off of Pookie. Because this is what we do. We will leave the path of uprightness to walk the ways of darkness. And the first thing people say is, no, I'm not like that. No, I'm not like that. Yeah, we are like that. Because we're not exercising discretion. We're not exercising wisdom. We're not exercising being given the wisdom to not walk in the counsel of the ungodly. We don't use that. We're not using that. Let's look at something, and I'm gonna lead you somewhere. I want to look at something, but I'm gonna lead you somewhere. So don't get caught up as I'm doing this. I don't want you to get caught up as we're doing it, because you get caught up, you're gonna get caught up. We're gonna look at Proverbs chapter 26, and we're going to go to verse 11. So don't get caught up in this. It says, comparing as a dog returned to his vomit, so a fool returned to his folly. Don't get caught up. Don't get caught up. Why? This is why it's going to get so serious. Because there's no difference. This is no different when you go off the path that was set on a good path. So if you was already set on a good path, you decided to only do things as dogs do. And you gonna hate. Well, actually, I didn't explain it to you why he calls it a dog. Because most of us don't know the reason and the characteristics of a dog. But I'm gonna tell them to you. You need to know. We need to clearly get why he uses dog so much. We don't know this. Same reason why men and they even use it in the professional arena of dog breeders. They call women bitchs. They call the female dogs bitchs. Clear. They just call them one. The reason why when they go in heat, they'll sleep with anything. The characteristic of a dog. Once it's in heat, the pedigree is all out the window. So they have to make sure the same pedigree is there. Because she is in heat, she gonna have it with anything. But the same thing with a dog. Why he's saying a dog returned to his vomit. Meaning this. The same thing as I tell people. People let dogs lick all in their faces. They let them lick all on their lips. They kiss all the dog. You got people do this all day long. But the problem with a dog, when you really know the characteristics of a dog, see, a dog will eat their own vomit. This is all day long. Why? Because I'm going to explain to you why. Because dogs use that as a source of food. Because they already was trained from that with their pups. See, when pups, if you have a dog, and when they have to eat meat, the same you see in the wild, the same you see even in the domestic. And if she trained them dogs, the female, as the puppy is growing up, and the puppy started eating meat and he's being weaned off the breast, the puppies is being weaned, the mother dog will eat up and chew up the food. Swallow it, regurgitate it. She's going to swallow it, and she's going to regurgitate it. For the youngs, they help them to adjust to eating solid foods. A dog. Because to a dog, that's still food. So when they get older, it doesn't matter. So a dog will return to his vomit. Because it's still a source of food. That's what they know. It's food. See, I know most people sitting there, I didn't even know my dog did it. And literally, a lot of people have dogs and didn't know their dog see this. This is why their dog will throw up if he vomits. That's why you try to get him away from him, and the dog will lick it up. Because to him, it's still a source of food. That's bread in them. This is a practice of a dog. As with people, we don't use those type of practices where you see your mother, when these children is weaned off the breast, where she'll take your food. She'll eat it, chew it up, swallow it, let it sit there for a while, and regurgitate it up, and then feed it to the child. You don't see that happening, do you? But if you're on the path of righteousness, you're not doing the characteristics of a dog. But if you're not on that path, you're returning back to do the same identical thing, something that was regurgitated, got out of you, and now you're still going back to it again. You have to go right back to it again. This is the problem. This is the problem. So this is why we got to make sure this is highly important on what's going on. This is why we got to make sure this is so important on what's going on. Because many of us sit there and we'll go and return right back from our wicked ways. He done brought us into the light and we'll return right back to it. So as a dog returned to his vomit, a fool returned to his folly. So that's why he says there's no difference. This is why it's no difference. We'll look at this in Revelation chapter 22 and why it says that. It says, for without are dogs. That's why it says this. Because he's telling you what's going on. Blessed are they that do his commandments. Wisdom is given to them that do his commandments. And they doing them. Excuse me. So as they doing them, they have right to the tree of life and may enter through the gates of the city. Because they're not going back and picking up their vomit. They're not going off to the path of unrighteousness. These are the things that they do. But ones who don't do that, they return back to their vomit. They return back to their follies. So they're nothing different. And it says, for without, as a dog returns, without are dogs. Why? Because a dog returned to his vomit. So a fool. So he basically over here calling you a fool. So a fool returned to his folly. And they are sorcerers and whoremongers and murderers and idolaters, whosoever loveth maketh a lie. So all clear. All clear understanding. If you've been shown the truth, why in the world are you going to run back to your vomit? If you've shown the path of righteousness, why are you going to go back to the path of unrighteousness? The same thing you see even with women and men. You'll see the same woman, she'll sleep around. She learns the truth. She stops for a little while, then she returns back. And when she turns back, she ain't no different than a dog. It's no different. The same is with a man. A man learned what he need to do, and he learned for a little while, and he returned to his vomit. Then when he catch some venereal disease, and all of a sudden he wonder what happened. He a dog. He's a dog. Because the Bible tells you, blessed are they that do his commandments. Wisdom is given to them that do his commandments, and they may enter through the gates into the city. And he says, for without are dogs. Because a dog returned to his vomit. Why in the world people think, well, Lassie gonna be in heaven. Okay. Only fools return to their vomit. He's trying to show it to you, and we still do it. Because we walk in darkness. Many is this. Many is this. And we're not paying attention to it. See, this is Proverbs 101. Not just reading it. No, we reading it with understanding. Getting the full understanding of why he's saying these things. And we really now kind of taking notice to what he's saying. In fact, let's go down a little bit more. Who leaves the path of uprightness walks in the ways of darkness. Why? Who rejoice to do evil, including delight in the forwardness of the wicked. Look at this. Why? Because not using no discretion. Not at all. Hey, sweetie. Not using no discretion whatsoever. This is the craziness. So when you look at this, and a dog going to return to his vomit, we have to stop putting other people there. What have we returned to? What have we returned to? Oh, I used to do this. I stopped, and then boom, I went right back to doing it. Oh, well, guess what? You're a dog. Well, no, I'm not a dog. You're a dog. You don't see he's sitting there saying what type of. It says, as a dog returned to his vomit, a fool returned to his folly. So if it was something that you were set on the path of righteousness, and then you got off that path and went back to return to what your folly was, you're a dog. People say, no, I don't know why you want to say that. The Bible telling you that. Don't like it, tear it out. Don't like it, just tear it out. But guess what? When you go buy another Bible, it's right back in there. So when he's telling you things that is wisdom and the discretion that shall preserve thee, and he then gave you the path of righteousness, and then as soon as you go on that path and you turn off and you go somewhere else, and you don't return to the same vomit, he says, so a fool returned to his folly. And that fool is a dog. I'm only pausing for effect. Just so that can just sink in. Just so it can sink in. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. Just so it can sink in. Think about that. I know some people, I know you're a dog, but I'm just delivering the message. You calling me a dog? We're coming out your mouth because you're a dog. Who told you to go back doing what you were doing? See, and many gonna justify what they do. That's the forwardness of you. That's forwardness. That's why it says this. That's why it says that there. Forwardness. Delight in forwardness. That's why this is there. The forwardness. Let's look at something. I want to show you something. Let's go to Job. Let's go to Job. We're going to go to Job and look at something in Job. Because a lot of us is Job. Dog. A lot of us is Job. Don't even know it. But it says this. We're going to see something that I want you to make sure, and I'm going to make sure we all on the same page. I'm going to make sure each and every one of us is on the same identical page. It says, there was a man in the land of Uz whose name was Job, including that man, you. Including that man, you was perfect and upright. It says that there, don't it? It says, and one that fears God, including the shrewd evil. So, my question to you is, as we get ready to move forward, I'm going to ask you some questions, and you need to answer these within yourself. You need to answer these within yourself. And we're going to find out. Well, see, if I put it in there, you'll find out if you was a dog. You'll find out if you're a dog or not. See, because I'm going to ask you one thing. Did Job rejoice in evil? Did Job rejoice in evil? Yes or no? Did he rejoice in evil? What do you think? What do you think? If we were sitting here doing a survey, what would you mark? Yes or no? Did Job rejoice in evil? See, that's the question. That's the question that has an answer. And some people are going, I don't know. I don't know. Is that a trick question? No, that's straightforward. Did Job rejoice in evil? I wonder, is Elder Johnson trying to set me up? No, that was a straightforward question. Did Job rejoice in evil? Oh, I don't know. Yeah, you know, but you don't know. See, because it tells you. It's right there in front of you. It says, this man was perfect and upright, one that feared God and eschewed evil. So if that's the truth, which is telling you there, did Job rejoice in evil? That's a clear question. And the answer is right there. No, he didn't rejoice in evil. See, this is what I'm saying. People get scared to say, well, I don't know. But he didn't rejoice in evil. But the problem with Job, Job delighted in forwardness, which is here. See, this is what Job rejoiced in forwardness. Prove the point. Because forwardness, I want you to write this down. Forwardness is traits, habits, and character. Foundational understanding. That's what it is. It's not forward. It's forwardness. Forward is being crooked and perverse. So it's not that. But forwardness, you have those traits. Forwardness, like Jewish. See, this is why I'm saying forwardness. You have those traits, you have those characters of it, but it's not you. Everybody with me? Because we're going to see if Job had that forwardness in it. We're going to see, do Job have those traits? You with me? I want you to stay with me on this. Because as we find out, if he have these traits of forwardness, being forward, being crooked and perverse, then we know that Job has a bad habit. Everybody with me? Because then we'll know this is an issue. But let's go a little bit more. So the question is, you write down, and everybody write down. I want you to write down on your note and say, was Job forwardness in his life? Did he have a lot of traits? Did he have a habit of being forward, but he wasn't forward? That's what you put. Did he have this habit? Did he have traits of that? I want you to be with me. So the thing is, I want to make sure as we're going to test this, and I want everybody to know everybody who just going to write it down, because some people are going to write it down, some people are going to lie in here and say they wrote it down, but the ones who saying they're going to write it down, and when we go in the back and we get all the other precepts of this, we can go and discuss it further. But everybody who's looking at this exercise on what Job is, just say that you participate and just say yes. I'm going to participate, just say yes. And we want to look at, do Job have the traits of being crooked and perverse? So he had the traits, he had the habit, he had the character of that. He has forwardness. That's the key. See, because he's saying he was perfect and upright, one that feared God and eschewed evil. It says this, so we know that's no issue there. But did Job have forwardness? Was forwardness in him? Did he have traits in that? Did he have traits in that? That's the key. So, yeah, so we can have a nice discussion in the back on this, because we see a lot of people actually participating in that. So as you writing this down, I really want you to make sure, and the question becomes, and I want to make sure, saying with this, I want you to put Job equals forwardness. Job equals forward. But Job can't be forward. So you just put Job forward, just put equals no. But forwardness, I want you to leave just to put an equal sign, and we're going to find out, do he have traits of being wicked and crooked? Because it says this. Because forwardness is part of what we see, which is crooked and perverse. So with the forwardness, we want you to keep that equal sign. So we got to find out what's going on. And this exercise helps you to understand better what's going on in the scripture, or how you can see things. So let's look at this. So we know this. He one that feared God and eschewed evil. So was Job forward? No. You put that there. Job was not forward. No. We clear there. But the catch is, did he have forwardness in him? Did he have traits or habits like forwardness, being crooked and perverse? That's the question we're trying to find out. So let's put some of the players in place. So we got to look at verse 2. So we're going to put some players in place. It says, including there were born unto him 7 sons and 3 daughters. We're going to use them as the example, putting them in place. So we're going to use them as the examples and putting them in place. Including, we're going to add some more. We're going to put verse 3 in there. It says, his substance also was 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels, and 500 yoke of oxen, 500 she-asses, in a very great household. So he had many servants. So that man was the greatest of all men of the East. He was the man. Job was the man. So this is our playing ground. So we know that Job had 7 sons, 3 daughters, so he had 10 kids. But he had great wealth of cattle and beasts. And he had servants everywhere. And it don't even say how many servants he had. He just had a lot of servants. He was the greatest man in the East. We see this. But we were trying to find out, was Job forward? Did he have forwardness in him? Did he have traits of being forward? Meaning, if he had traits of being forward, then he had traits of being crooked, and he had traits of being perverse. That's what we're looking for. So let's move a little bit more, and we're going to see what's happening here. And it says this. It says, including his sons went and feasted in their houses, every one his day, and sent and called out their 3 sisters to eat and drink with them. Wow. That's you see, we're just telling us right up front. So when they did these things, so they was forward. They was forward in what they did. Crooked and perverse. Every one his day. They went out and did what they wanted to do. Every one his day. So they was forward. They was not hiding anything. But did Job have those traits to where they could have came from, if possible? See, that is the catch. That is what we got to see. Did Job have traits of that? So let's look at verse 5. It says, and it was so, when the days of their feasting were gone about, Job sent and sanctified them. Job sanctified them. Who in the hell is Job? Who in the world is Job? Job, God? God had to get on this man about that. Job sanctified. Okay. Who in the hell is Job? He gonna sanctify them. So we have a problem. Job gonna say, now Job then turned into God. He gonna sanctify his children. But watch, it gets better. He rose up early in the morning and offered burnt offerings according to the number of them all. For Job said, it may be that my sons have sinned and cursed God in their hearts. Thus Job did continually. Thus Job did continually. So we got to look at this. Job was killing animals daily, sons and his daughters. So the question becomes, and then you put your own answer there, forwardness, on the forwardness of Job. Did Job have forwardness? Did he have traits of being perverse? Did he have traits of being crooked? That's the question. And you see the answer. I asked the question. You see the answer. See, because one thing we do know about Job, and we're going to look at part of that. One thing we know about Job is this. I'm going to show it to you, and we're going to see something about Job. But the question is, did Job have those traits? Did he have that trait of that? So we're going to go to Job chapter 32, and we're going to pick it up at verse 1. And it says, even when Job was having a problem talking about what he was talking about, the words of Job, it says, then these three men ceased to answer Job. Why? Because he was righteous in his own eyes. So the question still, did Job have the traits of being forward? Did he have those forward traits? I'm telling you, it's there. We just got. So you have to be sure when we sit there, when we look at Job, and people sit there and talk about. See, Job had some traits that was there or wasn't. Many people, when we don't even look at that as a whole, see, many people will put their children on pedestals, as Job. Many people are going to put their children on pedestals where their children can't do no wrong. Think about that. You see people there talk about their children. They do, my children this, my children that, my child is smart as this, my child is smart as that. I have 3. And my oldest is named after me. I have a daughter, and I have a younger son. And people sit there and say, man, well, do you put them on the pedestal? No. You know, but I can let you know, Michael has a lot of drive. He has a lot of my drive. Actually, all 3 of them has a lot of my drive. Now, my oldest, Michael, Jasmine, my daughter, people sit there, well, I got the smartest kids. And I tell you right up front, they was average all through school. They have to work. They have to work for the grades. They got pretty good grades, but they had to work for them. My youngest one didn't. My youngest one, he can just breeze right through school. There was no problem with him. He has a lot of book sense, but he didn't have street sense. People sit there like, well, man, your kids is this. No, my kid telling you. You know, Michael, he went out when he was in college. Then he went to he was going to get his master's. He scored I think a 3.2 or 3.5. I think I forgot which one he got. He called me at 3:00 in the morning. You would have thought this man hit the lottery for $400 million. But people will sit there, and they want to sit there, my child is the smartest this, the child is the smartest of that. But one have to learn to enjoy the other ones. See, I have nieces, I have nephews. Succeed intelligence. I got a cousin. She knew she was going to be a doctor all her life. From a child to an adult. Cousin. She went there, and My cousin Janelle, she sat there. Her daughter wanted to be this certain thing. She went to college. She ended up getting a degree, and actually ended up getting a scholarship to Harvard. You can enjoy that for that kid, not to sit there to try to compare your kid to her kid. Now you're putting pressure on your kid to succeed something that this young girl had all her life. Because what we try to do is put our kids on these, oh yeah, my child is this, my child is that. You put weights and different things on them, same as Job. Maybe they curse God, but let me clear the way. This is the big problem. Because if you have that problem where you keep putting your kids on pedestals, anytime somebody talk about somebody's kid, excuse me, they talk about their kid on this and they talk about their kid on that. And then the first thing my kid. You had that trait. That trait is there. That trait is right there. And we don't even know it. This is why it's so important to make sure you don't have that trait of forwardness in you. Because that's a trait. That's a characteristic. In fact, let's look at something. We're going to look at something. Because this forwardness of the wicked, who ways are crooked, they forward in their path. It's exactly the point. So it goes back to discretion and wisdom if you have it. If you don't have it, you got traits of forwardness, or you might be forward. You're going to have perverse things in crooked ways. And when you put your child in that mix of your forwardness, that child you're putting goals on this child to where now they're thinking they achieve anything less, they have a problem. So sometimes they'll do things that's overzealous on what they're trying to do, can end up getting them killed or putting them in jail based on the path that they're taking to please you, to try to make you be right. Discretion shall preserve you. Discretion. Because if not, forwardness, just those traits, can not only destroy you, but it can destroy the people around you. Forwardness. All the people, well, I don't have those traits. Yeah, really. Keep thinking you don't have those traits. In fact, in verse 16, it says, to deliver thee from the strange woman, even from the stranger which flattereth with her words. Really? See, only the spirit of discretion can deliver you from those ways. Only her. Because the same thing when you go back to Proverbs chapter 1, and we're going to look at verse 10. Proverbs 1 and 10, it tells us this. It says, my son, if sinners entice thee, consent thou not. Oh, my son doing this. Oh, my daughter doing this. Oh, guess what? There go you enticing. Oh, yeah. Flattery. Flattery gets you in a lot of trouble. So the main key still is discretion shall preserve you, to deliver thee from the way of evil men. From the way of evil men. But the main thing you got to remember, who leaves the path of uprightness to walk in the ways of darkness is the same person that will return to his vomit. The same person will turn from those path of good ways back to the path of unrighteousness. And they have no problem doing it. No problem doing it whatsoever. So hopefully with that, we're going to get ready to go into the back. And we're going to get some of those information. And I want to talk to some of you guys about what we just spoke on, to see what happens there. Because this is the main thing that we need to make sure we look at, make sure we understand. Because discretion is something you need to think on. Discretion is something you need to make sure you meditate on. So with that, we're going to be breaking here, and then we're going to be picking up on Monday. I mean on this Sabbath day. But you see the link that's down in there. I might need to change that link. So just give me 1 second. I need to change that link there and put in another link. So just 1 second. So let me just change that link to where we get that corrected. Because that one I gotta change anyway. And give me 1 hot second. And so I got that. So give me 1 second, get ready to post that in there. And so if you refresh your screens, you can actually get in there to go into the class. And I'm just sending for the phone to my mom to make sure she can get into the back. So with that, we have all what we need. Make sure you done took your notes. And as we go through these lessons, so I say to each and every person, so until this Sabbath day, until we meet again, I say to each and every person, Shalom.